What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Toulouse zone. I might say becoming FC Football Club Toulouse Torino, whatever you want to call it. That's the fear a lot of people have for a very simple reason that Comolli is coming in. I think you pronounce it Comolli because he's French. Anyways, he's coming in and he is bringing all his guys, which means no Tognozzi, excuse me. He's going to Arsenal, and that is a big sticking point. And a lot of things about that to say because at the end of the day, this is Juve. This is not Toulouse. I get that statement from a lot of fans, and that's a valid point. However, it's also valid for a new guy to come in and surround himself with people he trusts. Now, the danger is that you're surrounding yourself with people you trust and only going to tell you what you want to hear. Even if you failed in the past or didn't succeed with those same people, they're obviously not going to say you're doing something wrong because they are in a job and they're working with you. And that is the big danger. You know, what is Chiellini's role in this? Because he wanted Tognozzi at the club. And there was all talk about sporting director this and head of scouting. When was the last time should be worrying about the head of scouting? 10 years ago, the head of scouting, I'm like, I don't know, like who is the head of scouting? I absolutely do not care. Right now, we are in an age and in a moment as a club, as a fan base, that we are worrying and pissed that the head of scouting is going to Arsenal and not joining us. So that's what we're going to talk about because there is a danger to create a culture that shouldn't be created at this club. Before we get into it, as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about it. Okay, so Comolli, Toulouse president, comes in, becomes a general director of the club. Before he came in, it was basically 99% certain that Tognozzi comes back and he was going to be the head of scouting. Then there were reports he's coming back, but he's going to be the sporting director. And then there were rumblings. Remember when I wasn't alive and Monblano said, stay aware because he might not be even joining. And actually, even before that, he said he's joining. But if I was him, I would leave. I would leave because he's not going to get the role that was promised to him. So obviously, it is a sticky situation. Who contacted Tognozzi and said, you can join us? And then who got overruled by Comolli? Well, there's only one name. It's Chiellini, right? It must be Chiellini because Elkan is not getting overruled. Scanavino is nothing. And Ferrero is absolutely nothing as well. So Chiellini got overruled in this. And that's a danger, what I'm talking about, to become Toulouse in a funny way, in a sarcastic way. But it's normal that, Comolli comes in and he's like, oh, I'm picking my guys. I'm picking a sporting director I trust. I'm picking the head of scouting I trust. I'm picking, I don't know, the chef I trust, to push it. That's normal. That's very normal and acceptable. However, there's also a danger in that because you're surrounding you with people who want to please you, obviously, who are going to tell you what you want to hear. Maybe not the reality you should be hearing, but just what you want to hear. That's the dangerous part of that entire situation, And I get when fans are saying, man, Tognozzi should be coming in because he did a fantastic job. He got Huijsen, he got Yildiz, he got Sule, and all the other players, if you want to include Ealing Jr. and Barnechea, like all those players who came to the first team, it was him who worked behind the scenes to get those players. And I'm like, that's cool, that's all fantastic. But as a fan base, let's be honest, how many friends do you have who support other clubs, Milan, I don't know, but Chelsea or Napoli, whatever. If you ask each of those friends, let's say you have 10 friends, they all support 10 different clubs. If one of those friends knows the name of their head of scouting, I think it's already a miracle. I think it's already a long shot. Up to 2 years ago, I didn't know who the head of scouting was. And actually, when I sit back, I shouldn't know who the head of scouting is. I shouldn't be caring about that. I shouldn't know his name. But we are in a situation as a club, as a football in general in 25, that we are pissed that Tognozzi is going to Arsenal and not coming to us. I'm more pissed about the entire situation because he was joining us and now it didn't happen. So I'm sitting back and I'm like, what did happen, because obviously Comolli is bringing his head of scouting from Toulouse in, and maybe he's a good guy. Like, I don't know, maybe he's a very good player, and it's much easier to convince quote unquote young talents to join Juve in the youth sector under 23s, because we have an under 23s, than Toulouse. So it might be easier. Maybe he recognizes talent, but it's much easier to convince certain talents to come to play for Juve with the idea of you can make the first team like a lot of these players did, then do that with Toulouse. So I get that. My point is, excuse me, Tognozzi was coming. He was the main name. Was it for the sporting director? Was it for the head of scouting? Who knows? But he was joining. His name was top of the list. And now he's off that list. He's going to Arsenal. So my thing is, it means somebody in the club or two people are not believing in the same thing. That is my issue more so than Comolli bringing his players or his people from Toulouse in, because, well, he trusts them and he knows how these people work, and those people know how Comolli works and what is demanded, and etc. That is normal. But what's not really normal is that in a short week or 2 weeks, people are getting overruled really quickly when things were basically done deals. That is not a good beginning within the club, in my opinion. That is more of an issue I have, rather than, oh my God, he's bringing in the head of scouting from Toulouse. Because, to be honest, I don't really care about the head of scouting. Yeah, Tognozzi, we all cared because we knew what happened. But what happened with all these players coming through was not normal. You don't need to expect that 2 years from now we're getting 4 or 5 players from the next gen and they're playing for the first team, or they're being sold and they become superstars. It's not normal. So maybe that was a one-off from Tognozzi. I don't know. And maybe the new guy does the same thing and he brings in a talented player every 2, 3, 4 years. That's already a miracle. I don't really know about that. What I'm trying to say is that there's a danger and a logical explanation in bringing in his own guys. It's not to become Toulouse, even though it sounds like we want to become Toulouse, because it's the same ideas behind it. This is Juve. And at Juve, standards and expectations should be different. Let me say should be different, because lately they haven't been different. So it is an interesting one, but again, it's a benefit of the doubt. Giuntoli brought his people with him. It failed. However, Giuntoli was tasked to do much, much more on his own. Right now, that has flipped as well. They're not tasked to do much, much more on their own. So it's going to be interesting. Anyways, you let me know what you think. Is it a good idea that we're letting Comolli do what he wants to do? Or is it a shame that, certain things were set to be done, like Tognozzi coming back, and then it fell through and it didn't happen? Let me know, and we'll discuss it in the comments. Ciao.